apologise for your comment?
Will you have a cup of tea?
Will you apologise for your
Would you
comment?
like a cup of tea?
Yeah, sure.
Go on, have a cup of tea.
Thank you, thank you. Do you regret?
Would you like a cup of tea?
Do you regret your comments?
The United Kingdom, known for its football, royal weddings, cloudy days, and yes, tea. You might hear about their financial services, trendy fashion, or iconic pop culture. But what about what made the UK great in the first place? The beating heart of industry, innovation, and manufacturing. That legacy has faded. The towering factories that fueled the Industrial Revolution? Silent. The steelworks and shipyards that built nations? Gone. And with them, something far more crucial has been lost. A strong, balanced economy. The country that once thrived on the strength of its working class now struggles to keep up with global competition. How did we get here? And what does it mean for the future of the United Kingdom?
The Diary of Money.
The United Kingdom, once a global economic powerhouse, is facing a severe economic decline that has left many citizens concerned about the future. While the more visible issues like Brexit, inflation, and political instability often dominate discussions, there are deeper, more systemic problems with the UK economy that rarely get the attention they deserve. These underlying factors, if left unaddressed, could lead to a prolonged period of economic stagnation and social discontent. While the financial services industry has been lucrative, this shift has led to economic imbalances. Manufacturing creates a wide range of jobs, supports local industries, and promotes exports, whereas the service sector, particularly high-end finance, tends to concentrate wealth in specific regions, notably London, and often benefits a small portion of the population. This imbalance has left the UK's economy vulnerable to global financial shocks and has contributed to the widening wealth gap between the South and other regions, particularly in the North and Midlands. The economic disparity between London and the rest of the UK is a critical issue that receives insufficient attention. London, being the financial heart of the country, continues to thrive, attracting both international talent and investment. However, regions outside the capital are increasingly left behind. Former industrial hubs in the North, Midlands, and Wales have experienced decades of underinvestment and deindustrialization, leading to higher unemployment rates, lower wages, and less access to opportunities. This growing regional divide is more than just an economic problem. It also fuels political and social discontent. Many areas that once had thriving industries now feel neglected by the central government, fostering resentment and contributing to the rise of populist political movements.
The Resolution Foundation released an enormous report on the state of the UK economy, what sorted out. It's worth just having a look at some of the issues. This perhaps is the biggest one of all. This is showing you real earnings. So adjusted for inflation, since 2000, they went up and up and up. And if they carried on in that vein, look, they might have gone up to there. Instead, look at what happened post-2008, something very different. That's basically the kind of flatlining, the stagnation. Look at the gap between rich and poor. So this is something called the Gini coefficient. It's a measure of income inequality. And you can see the UK, the higher these bars are, the more unequal. The UK is much more unequal than many other countries around Europe, particularly Northern Europe, particularly the Nordics, and only the US in this group is more unequal. So it's those two issues together that they say is a problem. And so too is this. This is looking at the gap between major cities and the smaller towns and regions in different parts of Europe. So you've got France, you've got Germany, you've got Spain, you've got Italy as well. Have a look at the UK, OK? Have a look at these bubbles. So there you've got London, obviously, Manchester there in the middle, Powys and other parts of the UK at the bottom end. But it's this gap that is quite concerning, a bigger gap between London and the rest. And these lower income parts of the UK, far lower, that you can see, than, for instance, in Italy or in Germany. So that's a concern in terms of the way that wealth, the way that income is distributed.
There's no denying it. Manufacturing is the backbone of any global superpower. When you look at modern history, it's no coincidence that the UK was at its peak in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This island nation, once small in size but mighty in influence, dominated the world through its production capabilities. The Industrial Revolution didn't just transform Britain, it revolutionized the world. Coal, steel, textiles, these were more than just exports. They were symbols of Britain's global dominance. They didn't just consume, they produced. Built railways, ships, machines, the very infrastructure that shaped the modern world. Then, as the UK's manufacturing might started to wane in the mid-20th century, the US took over. The United States built an economic empire on the assembly line. It wasn't just innovation, it was mass production. Automobiles, planes, electronics, military equipment that propelled the US to superpower status. The country became the world's factory, churning out goods and fueling an economic boom that stretched across the globe. And now, look no further than China, the world's newest industrial giant. It's not a coincidence that China's rise in the early 21st century has been driven by its relentless focus on manufacturing. China produces nearly a third of the world's goods, from electronics to heavy machinery. In just a few decades, they've transformed from a developing nation to a global heavyweight, all because they understand the power of production. So, what happened to the UK? They stopped producing. The factories fell silent. The industries outsourced, leaned on finance and services to prop up the economy. But here's the harsh reality. No nation in the modern world has ever remained a superpower without the ability to produce. Manufacturing creates jobs, drives innovation, and exports influence. Without it, they've lost their competitive edge. The UK no longer builds the world's railways, ships, or engines. And because of that, we've seen their position on the global stage slip.
And today marks the final day of campaigning in the United Kingdom before voters head to the polls for tomorrow's general election. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is seeking to extend the Conservative Party's 14 years in power. However, polls suggest that the opposition leader, Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer, will secure a landslide victory. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano joins us now from London. Lilia, talk to us about why the Conservatives are performing so badly in the polls after dominating for so long.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, Lana. The Conservatives have been in power in the UK for 14 years. That was, of course, following the global financial crisis, which economists say they still have not fully recovered from. There have been economic shocks, widening inequality, and, of course, Brexit, which resulted in a loss of investment, of trade, and blew up the national debt. But that's not really it. In fact, the candidates have barely touched Brexit in their campaigning. The main reason is Conservatives have undergone a series of relentless scandals, which have resulted in basically a rotating cast of a total of 5 Conservative prime ministers in the last 8 years, each one, of course, with their own platforms, ideas, proposed solutions, leading to oftentimes more problems. So you can imagine the political and economic instability that has caused and why, of course, voters would blame, well, the party that's in power.
The truth is, no economy can thrive in chaos. And the UK right now, it's in the middle of a storm. Political instability is poisoning economic growth. The constant changes in leadership, policy reversals, and never-ending debates over Brexit have left the country adrift. The public is losing faith in the system, and the UK is in danger of falling further behind.